7th. Excuse me. I lost a week somewhere. How many of you are here for the first time? How many of you here are involved in a startup or thinking about one? Yeah. That's really awesome, because that's why we started 1 Million Cups, was try to cultivate entrepreneurship in the community. And once you get people talking and sharing with each other, this is exactly what happens. More startup events start taking place, and more people get involved in business and get involved in creating business, which is what we need in Springfield to create an entrepreneurial community. And of course, the ultimate end result is to create jobs in all sectors. With that being said, our first speaker this morning is Josh Holstein, and he has a startup called CellARide. So I'd like to introduce you to Josh.
I can talk loud, so either way, hopefully I don't blow everybody out of here. And I'm not used to holding this mic, so bear with me, and I might just put it down sometime during this. Can I go ahead and put it down now? Or do you need it for the...
Thank you for the audio.
Yeah, that's going to be an issue. Yeah, I might do that too, and you won't like me. All right, are you ready for me? Good deal. Good morning. My name is Josh Holstein, and I'm the founder of a company that is revolutionizing the way in which we buy and sell vehicles. Our company is called CellARide. So CellARide began over 3 years ago when I came across a vehicle that looked very similar to this one. Extremely cool car, but I didn't have the time nor the want to call the phone number on the sign. As you know, we live in a day and age where we don't have time for anything, and I am actually the poster child for that theory. I want more information, and so I wanted to see what the dashboard looked like lit up. I am a former police officer, don't hold it against me, but I wanted to see the odometer reading. I wanted proof of it. I also wanted to hear the engine and what it sounded like. How about, has the car been in a wreck? Are my insurance rates going to go up? And wouldn't it be cool if I could see what other people that own a similar vehicle are saying about their experience with that car? So I knew I'm sitting here looking at this vehicle, and I knew there had to be a better way to do it. I'd been dabbling with text message marketing at the time, so it hit me. Why couldn't I send a text message to the car and receive back answers to those questions that I had? That being said, the dominant communication method these days are text messaging for people like millennials and Generation Z. But looking around the room, it appears that there's people in here, including myself, that don't fit within this category. So with a raise of hands, how many people know how to send a text message? And so do these guys. So I knew I was onto something, and I'm finally putting my computer degree to use. Go Bears. So I did. I created the prototype of what we now call the for sale by owner product. So I've got this great new product, and I had no earthly idea how to get it to the masses. That's when I was introduced to this fine gentleman. He too founded a company that revolutionized the way in which we buy and sell vehicles. You and I speak on a very regular basis, and he tells me stories that are eerily similar to the path that CellARide's currently on. Mr. Barnett founded a company that not only revolutionized the way in which we buy and sell vehicles, but has become a generic term for vehicle history reports. I'm sure you're familiar with that guy. Ewan Barnett's the founder of Carfax, and when I met with him for the first time, we literally spoke for 5 hours, and during that conversation, he immediately signed on as an industry advisor and investor in CellARide. So after our meeting, I realized the massive potential that our product had for the dealership space, not only for the after-hours shopper, but also to be able to provide the dealership with the knowledge of who's on their lot when they're not. So I went back to the drawing board, and I created the dealership product from the ground up. We call it Car Info to Go. Pretty simple. Car Info to Go produces what we call ride tags. Ride tags are professionally produced window stickers that go on the dealership's entire inventory, where a shopper will just simply text the unique keyword for that vehicle to our free short code, and within seconds, they'll receive a mobile brochure that includes photos, videos, Carfax report, and much more. At the same time, the dealership's receiving that customer's contact information via email and text message, so they can follow up in a less threatening format. So Car Info to Go has 6 dealerships. Most of them have been with us for over a year, and some have actually been with us for over 2 years. We just completed a phenomenal proof of concept phase where we were able to work out the kinks and also get great sales data for dealerships. Example of that sales data is we have a dealership that's been with us for over 2 years. They've sold over 90 vehicles that we can attribute to the Car Info to Go product, and they have seen huge, and I mean huge, return on investment numbers in certain months. Best part of the proof of concept phase was not only that we were able to prove the results to the dealership and the shopper, we were also able to prove a monthly revenue model where dealerships are willing to pay up to, or $299 all the way up to $899 a month. That being said, CellARide has generated over 6 figures in revenue in less than 18 months. We've now got a proven product, and we're currently in the Capital Innovators Tech Accelerator in St. Louis with a goal of figuring out the structure for our company as well as streamlining our process to take it to the masses. Telephone. At Capital Innovators, we have been able to start having serious conversations with General Motors, Toyota, and Enterprise. We also are working on a large marketing campaign to reach the over 50,000 independent dealerships nationwide. In order to do that, we have 2 marketing companies that we're working with, one out of St. Louis and one out of Cleveland, Ohio. And we've also built a great relationship with the former Chief Operating Officer of Daimler Chrysler Services, Tom McAleer. Tom's a great guy, and we speak on a very regular basis as well. He's also a Drury alum, for anybody from Drury. So our main competition that we've encountered in this space are these. QR codes are kind of neat if you know how to use them. And if the shopper has a smartphone where they've downloaded the app. But more importantly, QR codes do not provide the seller with the shopper's contact information automatically. I built CellARide and Car Info to Go to bridge the gap between the buyer and the seller. So I wanted to make sure that it worked with both smart and dumb phones. I didn't want to have to download an app, and it was imperative that the seller receive the shopper's contact information in real time while they're in front of the vehicle. So CellARide was custom developed to not just work within one vertical. We are laser focused on the automotive space, but as you can see, we have a ton of opportunity ahead of us. And again, my name is Josh Holstein, and CellARide is a technology company using text messages to revolutionize the way in which we buy and sell vehicles. Thank you.
All right, folks, we'll open up for Q&A. Just raise your hand and stand up when you have a question.
By the way, this is hard to talk into. Can you tell? I don't know if everybody can hear me.
Questions?
What other markets are you looking at besides cars right now? Well, these are just 4 of them. But as you can imagine, anything that has a sign. But boats, RVs, real estate. Again, we're laser focused for a reason. You know, you could get too broad focused on trying to implement this in a multitude of ways, and so we've been very laser focused on the automotive space. Let's get that down, and then we're going to start working on some other markets after that. Good question, though.
As somebody with a car to sell, how can
Yep. So we have 2 products. One is called CellARide, which is our for sale by owner. We've gained traction in our dealership product, so we've really put a lot of focus on the dealership product, but we do have a fully developed for sale by owner product where you could go to CellARide.com and you type in your VIN number. It'll take you through the entire process to set up your profile for that vehicle, and at the end of it, you can print out the window sticker. The other thing that we didn't talk about is we actually have a retail version of our for sale by owner product where you can go to the retail store. We don't have any stores quite yet that we're in, but you can go to the retail store and actually buy one of the ride tags from the retail store, and on the back of it, it has a 5-step process to create your profile, and then you can just put the window sticker in your car. Yep, very simple. Yes, sir. Oh, sorry.
Do you consider a model where you generic information?
I thought about that in the beginning. That's called a premium text program. There's a lot of regulations behind that. The goal was really to make it, or we want it to be used. A lot of times when we put a dollar amount anymore these days, those programs don't really do well unless they're in a certain industry. And I won't tell you what industry that is, but there is industries that use that premium model that are much more successful at it than what we would be in. But I'm sure you can figure that. But no, great question. And yes, we have thought about that, and it would be nice if people would pay that, but it costs so much to set something like that up and test it that it's just better that we look at a revenue model from the other angle. I saw another hand somewhere. Yes, sir.
Do you have any direct competitors?
Direct competitors in the text market? Yeah, yes, we do. But they're mostly in their beta phase, so they haven't even made it to market yet. So really, that's where first to market strategy is key, and that's what we've been really focused on. So I try to stay away from looking at what the direct competitors are doing because I want to be focused on getting us directly to the market and do it quick. And we've got, like I said, General Motors, Toyota, and Enterprise. We're actually doing we're in the due diligence stage at General Motors, and they've got an enormous potential for us to get into all their dealerships. That's 4,500 stores, and that's huge. So really what my focus is right now is just to get that deal done and then start talking to Toyota. And we also are in the upper management area over at Enterprise. Enterprise is based in St. Louis, so this Capital Innovators program really helped us get in there and start focusing on them. Yes, ma'am. Yeah, and so the way that I look at it, we didn't even talk about the fact that this can actually be utilized in print, in web. I mean, the dealerships that we've utilized this tool, other than just in a window sticker on a car, is we actually implement within their website. And so it says for the Carfax report text, or it'll say, they'll leave out the price and they'll say for price and info text. And the goal of that is to provide a mobile brochure that you're not going to throw away. Number one, you're not going to shut the computer off. You've got it on your phone. You're going to keep it. The other side of that is for the dealership to be able to follow up in a less threatening format. So that being said, the same can go for any industry, in essence, that wants to market their products and be able to know who's looking at them and be able to follow up and sell their product in a way that people are wanting to communicate, which this face-to-face thing is not what we're doing these days. And it's kind of sad, but at the same time, it's just where we're going.
You were talking about for sale by owner earlier, and how much does it cost a person to put their car on there?
We have a freemium version. I call it a freemium version, sorry. It's a free version. It's a 7-day limited version, so it's obviously what most free versions do, but we also do have 3 pricing models, $10, $15, and $20, depending on the time and some of the features that you get.
That's per month?
No, actually it's not. It's one time. So, for example, the $10 plan is a 30-day listing. So once you're up with that $10 plan, we actually do offer a discount for you to renew it if you need to. And so, yeah, there's a $60 plan, and then there's an unlimited plan. Yes, sir.
Josh, tell us a little bit about Capital Innovators.
Yes, Capital Innovators. So I actually was accepted into the spring class. Capital Innovators is a tech accelerator that's 3 months long. It is more or less similar to an incubator, but they take equity in your company, and they actually work through building your plans and getting you to that next level, hence the term accelerator. The goal is to accelerate you to that next level with the resources that they've got monetarily, as well as the connections that they have. St. Louis has become quite the tech hub. Capital Innovators just was ranked number 6 in the nation for accelerators, which is huge because the other 5 are based on the East and West Coast, and one of them in Philadelphia. So to be able to say that you're number 6, and it wasn't just it wasn't a slew or anybody that did the study. It was actually an MIT study that showed that they were number 6. So great fraternity to be a part of now. I mean, to be able to attach your name to that and say, hey, we were a Capital Innovators program has been enormous for us. We've got a lot of press out of it, as well as I don't think we'd be talking to General Motors and Enterprise and those companies without being a part of this organization. Yes.
Autotrader.com and Cars for Sale all have
contracts with the car dealers already. What's your fear or protecting your service from them not adding that to what they're already doing with the dealer?
Good question. I'm a cop, so I'm cynical about everything. I'm a former cop, so and again, don't hold it against me. Just FYI, I'm not your typical cop, especially when someone said that cops are over here doing what they're doing. I'm cynical about those things, and I actually why it took us so long to get to this. I mean, 3 years we've been doing this is because I kind of wanted to be that stealth ninja from out of nowhere. I didn't want anybody to know what we were doing. I wanted to build this product up, and I wanted to be able to say, hey, this is a solid product, and then take it to the masses. That was probably the wrong way to go, but it was more because I was worried about the big boys coming in and seeing that we're doing something. I'm not worried about the big boys anymore. They've got lots of other things that they got to deal with. What they're going to look at is this technology is already built. It's proven. How much can I spend to buy it? And really, we've had some conversations like that already, and I'm open to it. But at the same time, I think they're more interested in a potential acquisition, which is what most of these companies are doing these days, as opposed to spending the resources. And it takes a company like them 6 months, a year, 2 years down the road. There's a lot of red tape you got to go through to get something like this put together. I mean, I add features on a daily basis to the product, and it's much more intuitive than what they would probably do. I'm not saying anything bad about them, by the way. That's how I've seen that happen. Yes, sir.
I was wondering how you deal with legal issues on the text messaging side, as we've gone through some hurdles here the past year or so in that area.
Very carefully. The regulations just recently became more strict back in October. We had to remove one great feature that we had so that we can revamp it to fit within the compliance aspect. We're extremely compliant. That's one of our selling points to dealerships, is that we are compliant within this method. The way that we set this up to where dealerships can contact them back themselves, they don't use our product to contact them back for a reason. We wanted to for opt-outs and certain lag times, and not to get into a lot of details, we wanted to make sure that it was more on the dealership's shoulders and their policies to be able to follow up, which most dealerships now have those policies in place for spamming and different types of things. So trying to make sure that we fit within all those regulations has been key for our success, and that's how we kind of sell that to the dealerships. Yes, ma'am. Oh, sorry. Are we good up here? That's fine. Good.
So, in your 3-year process, which resources did you
I used to answer that question and say capital. I'm starting to go back to that and say capital, but right now the resources have been Ewan Barnett, Tom McAleer, building the team around me. And I say this, and I'm not supposed to say it anymore because it could be considered negative. I'm not a car guy. I'm really not. I know nothing. I knew nothing about the car industry, but I'm an idea guy. And so what I wanted to do was I wanted to build the team around me, to make sure that we could be successful within this space. And that's my biggest resource. I mean, Ewan Barnett and I talk once or twice a week sometimes, and it is eerily similar to the path that he took with Carfax from 84 up to when he sold it in 2000. I mean, I don't even like to talk about it because there's some bad things that he went through that we've actually gone through, and it's interesting, but that's been our biggest resource for sure. I want capital now too, though, so working towards that.
I love the idea. Just want to say that first. I think the housing, there's big potential there. I've got lots of friends that own dealerships, power sports, and boats as well. Yeah. I think a lot of the power sports, they will put those inside at night, and there's not so much potential as to go tag it as if you could on an RV lot or something like that. Right. But I think there's big potential as far as the RVs and the boats go. Do you add video and stuff like that on your tag as well? Is there a way to do that?
Yeah.
Do they do that through their website? Because I feel like a lot of times with a boat, people pull up, especially a bigger unit like an RV or a boat, they're going to pull up and they want to see that. And a lot of people are intimidated by a dealer. They don't want a salesman coming out and talking to them. They just want to go. They go after 5 or whatever. But a lot of times with a boat too, when you're doing shopping, the cover's on it. It's closed up. You can't really see it. So if they were able to tag this and then pull it up and see videos and see a lot of pictures from the inside and stuff like that. I feel like that'd be really beneficial.
Absolutely. And within the For Sale by Owner product, we've integrated video for that reason of not only being able to see like a virtual test drive, in essence, or test ride or whatever you want to call it, but also to hear the engine and to hear what the owner sounds like, to see if they're passionate about their car. I mean, you want to buy a vehicle or something, a boat or whatever, from someone that's showing passion of what they've had, you know, especially for a car like that, you know, you're going to hear the passion behind the seller, and that as a buyer would be great to hear. You know, do a 1-minute walk around video, and we actually, we have a way for them to upload a video to their mobile brochure.
So you've been talking about all your advantages of the company, which sounds like there's a ton of them. I'm curious as what are some disadvantages or some big areas of opportunity for you?
I like to think positive. There's a lot of disadvantages. I mean, I think if I understand your question is what are disadvantages to a user or to me as a CEO of the company? Either one. Yeah. Disadvantages are I've spent 3.5 years of my life doing this, and I've pulled out a lot of hair, and I'm gray really whenever I don't shave. It is a lot of stress. It's a lot of stress. I have a wife and 2 kids. Don't get me started because I might get emotional about it. But I've spent a lot of my time doing this, and I travel up and back to St. Louis on a weekly basis. I'm there Monday through Friday, and I come back on the weekends. Disadvantage would be that, but I see the prize, and we're starting to see a lot of prizes that are potentially in our future. So that's well worth it. And my wife has said that it's well worth it too, in that case. In regards to the product itself, I mean, the goal of the product was to be able to get it to the masses. And there's technologies out there that are really cool, but they're not in the masses' hands. I mean, for example, Android and Apple have never preloaded a phone with a QR code reader. They never preload. Well, some have actually preloaded NFC, but neither one of those technologies are yet widely adopted. And so, that can be a disadvantage on the surface, but at the same time, it's well used and they have their place, and we want to work with those types of technologies at some point. But really, the goal was to be able to get it to the masses where people use and widely use that text messaging. So, yes, sir. Yes, sir.
How much ownership in your company have you exchanged to get to this point?
Not as much as you think. We've gone through the friends and family round. We've gone through 1 round of angel, and then we've gone through this accelerator round. I still own a majority in the company. Our next round is going to be a much larger round than what we're used to. So I'm juggling that right now, and I know that a smaller piece of a bigger pie is always better, and so I'm trying to figure out how small the piece I want to go. Because there's a chance that we might go even to another round after that. We're going to be what they call a pre-A round on this next go-around. And then the next round will be the A, potentially the B, if we make it that far and don't sell. Yes, sir.
Since you weren't a big fan of NFC or QR codes, what is your reasoning for not including like iBeacon? I'm
a fan of them. I am a big fan of them. I love the technology. We need to streamline our approach, and the only thing that I'm not a fan of is that they don't provide the automatic lead generation. That automatic lead generation where that dealership will get that phone number to be able to follow up and immediately. But the technology is great, and the reason why we didn't integrate it was because I'm laser focused on one specific technology, and if you widen out that focus too much, especially similar to this, not only are we widening out potentially to a vertical, we might be widening out to different technologies to get it to the masses, and I just wanted to stay focused on one. So believe me, it's a very I'm very interested in NFC, but I want to see it progress a little bit further before we even start talking about it. Yes.
So you were talking earlier about the spam text messages and stuff like that could come to a person's phone from the dealership. But places like Reliable BMW, when I was searching for a used car, there was a guy there that would text me occasionally to tell me he had something new in. Is that something that you guys have integrated for the dealership to do, or is that a separate program that the dealership would use?
No, we actually that's what we actually took down recently because of some of the regulations that are in place now. There's proactive and reactive text messaging. And again, not to get into the details on it, but you now have to take a next step to proactively send a message out. The dealerships, they have to abide by FCC regulations just like we do. And so we've kind of put that in their court to say, hey, if someone says don't contact me back, you don't contact them back. Abide by those FCC regulations, and we do the same. But yes, we had a feature where not only would we let you know when there was other vehicles that have come in to the dealership, we also are going to notify you of price drops. So a dealership will drop their price to get people interested in buying that car. We were notifying people of that price drop. We still have that feature. We've just taken it offline until we can make it more compliant with FCC regulations.
So essentially, like, do they take the contact info that you've just given them by that number that they're using? Do they have to take that and put it in their own system, or?
Well, every dealer is different, and we created it to be more custom to the dealership's needs. Most dealerships in the Midwest, they don't do much with CRMs. They have a CRM. They don't do much with them. They spend a lot of money on them, and we integrate with CRMs. But we found that the text message, the email, I didn't even show you. We have a full dashboard that we've created that they can log into and review their leads and follow up through that dashboard. But most of these dealerships are getting it. They've got what they call what I call a bat phone that all their leads go to, or in their BDC, which is a business development center. They then get those leads and they can follow up pretty much immediately through that same phone and do that type of thing.
Well, Josh, as always, we wrap up with our final question, which is, how can we as a community help you?
Wow, that's a big question. I need all of you to work for me for free. I mean, just the community support. Being up in St. Louis, I see there's an enormous tech community up there, and programs like 1 Million Cups, and I'm really not just blowing smoke, programs like 1 Million Cups are enormous to build a tech community, at least to start that build. If you ever were up in St. Louis is now the tech hub in the Midwest, there's no doubt. And I want to see Springfield become that. I want to see them to be a part of what I'm seeing up there, because I think we've got a lot of talent here that has a lot of great ideas that need resources in order to get to that next level. And believe me, I'm from Springfield. I grew up here. I'd rather stay in Springfield, but I do have to try to figure this path out, and St. Louis has been very helpful for that. So if I can help build that and get help from the community to help build that, I think we're on the right path, for sure. Thank you very much. Appreciate it.
Hello, everyone. I'm Chad. Before we get into our next speaker, we've got a couple of announcements for you. First, MATA meets tomorrow, which is the second Thursday of every month, right here at the E-Factory at 4 o'clock. Sherry Coker's been really good to us. We want to help support your organization. As well, on Cinco de Mayo, May 5th, next month, we've got Spin 66 launching. You can go to spin66.org. Kind of a meeting of the innovators and the entrepreneurial minds here in Springfield. It would be quite an event with some excellent speakers. Like I said, you can go to spin66.org to get the information. It's going to be right here at the E-Factory. Tickets are $25 in advance, and they can be purchased online. For our next speaker, we've got Damian Palmer from Easy Aid, and this should be a pretty good one.
How's everyone doing? All right. I have this cool app because I want everyone to network really well after this. And how many people, okay, so I'm going to stall the presentation so I can spend a little bit of time on this. How many people brought business cards? How many people wished that they would have brought business cards? All right, forget all that. If you have an iOS device, specifically iPhone 4, I want you to download this app called Looped, L-O-O-P-D. It uses Bluetooth technology. It's really awesome. You can sign in with LinkedIn, and basically you can discover people in your area. Let's say you want to meet up with people in real estate. Then you could add real estate tags, find people. It's really cool. They're doing some awesome stuff. I want you guys to check that out. So while you're, Looped, L-O-O-P-D. It's on the App Store. Check it out. It's really cool stuff. They just launched a week ago. All right. Oh, it's already up. So my name's Damian Palmer. I'm the founder and CEO of Easy Aid, and we're creating healthcare everywhere. So what does that mean? Let me start with the problem. So the problem right now is that large hospitals are improving engagement, patient engagement, through innovative software. But yet 90% of primary care physicians operate in clinics of 90 people or less. And these smaller clinics can't afford to create their own applications. So the solution, we create super affordable enterprise software for smaller clinics to allow physicians to create unparalleled quality of care. So basically what we are creating is a communications platform between patients and providers that allow patients to access their doctors anywhere and doctors to create better patient engagement and allow them to create a better quality of care. Now what I really want to spend time on is how to build a tech startup. Well, it really does apply to just about any type of startup, the process I'm going to describe. Because I found my biggest hurdle when I was starting my startup was I had no idea what to do. Like I was like, okay, I have this idea, now what? And I think this is a big hurdle, and I think that if we really want to create a sustainable tech community here, we really have to be able to foster education here. So that's what I want to talk about. And I have this little cute title, Memoirs of Building a Healthcare Startup Backed by Tim Draper at 19 years old. And does anybody know who Tim Draper is? It's a pretty cool guy. You guys should check him out. A little bit about EasyA before he started. I started in the summer, and after that, I went to the Draper Hero City. It was an accelerator by Tim Draper. And then after that, I went to the Google Next accelerator. So that's Google's new accelerator. And we're hoping to launch by the end of 2014 with a few smaller clinics. I want to get some clinics on board. So his question, if you want to help me out, connect me with some doctors that really want to skyrocket patient engagement. All right, let's get started. Step 1. Does anybody know Dodge, by the way? Probably not. It's a little, yeah. All right, step 1. Find what you're passionate about. I know it's really cliche, but this is really important. So things get really tough. Like when you do a startup every day, you work 12, 14-hour days, it gets really tasking. Like to start off with, like you might be the first month, like this is exciting, the idea is great, like I'm going to make a ton of money. Chances are you're not going to make a ton of money, by the way. You want to find something you're passionate about that you can do every day. Because when things get tough, because they really will get tough, you want to be able to get through it. Step 2, immerse yourself in the field. Reach out to everyone. The worst thing that can happen is that they just can't help. You'll be surprised, especially in the tech community, people actually respond. Like I will email like CEOs of like multi-billion-dollar companies and they will respond. LinkedIn is your best friend. And so like let's say you want to build a healthcare app, connect with all the doctors you can find, just spend a day connecting with people like the CEOs of like healthcare companies, really just connect. Like I know it's a little bit weird, they're like, who is this? But trust me, it'll help. Just be like, I need help. It really is a great asset. Really get on LinkedIn and do that. Step 3, this is a pro tip. Start a blog. You want to become a thought leader in your field. So like when you're going to raise money and starting a product, it's really cool people will be like, oh, I know that guy in that field. He knows a lot about the healthcare field. And this has really helped me in the past. And I have friends, like for instance, Loop, he became a thought leader in the wearable technology field, and he's really killing it right now. Step 3, find a pain point. So now that you've immersed yourself in the field, you want to find something that really plays in. You don't want to force your idea, because what I found, I was like, oh, I have this great idea. And then when I actually started talking to doctors, they're like, this is great, but I'll never use it. So when I surrounded myself by doctors, I actually found the real pain point, and I let the idea build itself instead of forcing my idea on other people. Chances are you're not Steve Jobs, so you can't really force your ideas on people. So also, this is really important. Find a pain point, because painkillers are way better than vitamins. So like if you're trying to like make innovative software that really isn't a problem yet, like even though it'll improve people's lives, it's probably not going to be as successful if you're solving a pain point that exists right now. Pro tip, execution. Ideas are worth nothing. I don't care what you say. Like ideas aren't worth anything. I have 1,000 good ideas, but nothing's going to happen of them, because execution is the most important tip. And I think this is really important, especially today, because everybody has their ideas. The key is to wake up in the morning and work 16-hour days and just execute and do what I'm going to tell you to do. Step 4, start building. A lot of people spend a lot of time planning, like I want to do this with the app, let me put up wireframes, let's talk to people. Like once you know what the pain point is, just start building. You'll find your product by actually building, because chances are what you're planning on isn't going to be what you actually end up building. So this is really important. Pro tip, contact investors. So contact investors before you actually need money. This is really awesome. Pitbull had this quote, says, ask for money, get advice. Ask for advice, get money. It's actually really true. So you want to contact investors like, oh, I have this idea. I'd like to get your advice on it. And when you talk to them, they're like, they actually see the potential and they like force their idea. They're like, wow, I could see you using it this way. I could see you using it this way. And I've had plenty of times, like I did that to a couple investors. They're like, here, take my money. I'm like, I don't want your money yet. So this is a great way to contact them now. And if you can, get intros for people that know these investors. So even if you're not raising money, when you start building, contact investors, because when you go to launch the product, you don't want to be you don't want to get like off track because you're trying to raise money at the same time. It'll really slow down development. Step 5, launch the dang thing. Does it work? Just ship it. You only figure out what problems it has once users are actually using it. I don't care how ugly your product is. If it works, put it out there. You want to figure out what's wrong with it and what people would actually like to see before you like spend hundreds of thousands of dollars and months trying to build this beautiful product just for it to not be what they want. Pro tip, don't worry about the money. Get users and worry about profit and revenue later. This is a really big trend as of late. Like investors don't really care if you're making money yet. They're like, oh wow, you got a ton of users. Now figure out how to monetize off these users. So like Snapchat, $3 billion plus valuation. They haven't made a cent yet. Pinterest, they have over a $1 billion valuation. Maybe you guys can try to be that. If not, make money if you can. Step 6. I really like this. Delight users. I know 2 entrepreneurs and not very many that use that phrase. Elon Musk and Steve Jobs. And it's true. You really want to delight users. Now that you know what sucks, fix it. Perfect the user experience. Really make it seamless. Remove the barriers to entry and make it to where customers actually like to use your product. Step 7. Up and to the right. You have a great product now? Get users. Hustle. Literally do whatever it takes to get traction. So when my friends launched their product, I was in the Bay. We would actually go to Stanford games and hang out right before the entry to the stadium. And they would be like, check out this app, check out this app. And we'd just stand out there. And it actually got users. And we'd stand on the street and they would be like, download my app right now. And you got to do whatever it takes to get users because that's really important. Literally do everything. I don't care if you have to beg. Anything. Users are important, obviously. Prove scalability. So as he did before, you want to really prove that this can work in bigger markets. Like, unless if you really want your thing to be local and smaller, which is great, it's just as nice, prove that you can scale it to a larger market. This is really cool. Like, if you don't know about unit economics, just watch a couple videos on YouTube. You could probably spend an hour. This is going to help you with figuring out if you can actually do your business. Because you'll actually learn a lot about churn rates, stuff like that. Like, you could think that, like, oh, wow, this is great. I'm going to make a lot of money. And then you figure out, like, wow, users aren't keeping this. I'm not making enough money. I can't sustain this business. It's better to learn now than way down the road when you lose, like, hundreds of thousands of dollars. Step 9, contact investors again. Get intros if possible. Once again, only raise money if you need it because equity is awesome. So when you sell your company or get bought out, get acquired, you know, that equity is going to be worth a lot more than if you're just giving away money because you like money in the beginning. Step 10, reiterate. Your product is never finished. Just continue to make it better. This is pretty obvious. Step 11, get more users. I really like the idea of getting users. I'm kind of obsessed with it. If you can't get users by this point, quit. That's a little harsh. Maybe try again, but I say quit. Step 12, get money. Just kidding. Chances are you won't make any money. Just enjoy the ride. So find something you're passionate about and just do it for as long as you can. If you make money, that's great. If you don't, try again. Because entrepreneurship is a lot of fun. And it's really rewarding when you actually start to change people's lives. Chances are I'm never going to make any money, but it's all about the ride. Oh, also, I'm bootstrapping right now. I told you don't ask for money until you need it. I've been building websites since I was 14. Okay. And I make awesome websites for small businesses at like an awesome price. A lot of these competitors will charge like thousands of dollars. I'll make a website for you in like a few days for $500. Check it out. It's www.damien.pw. I promise that you won't be disappointed. So if you want anything, check out www.easya.co. or contact me, Damien, at geteasya.com. Any questions?
I'll kick it off with the first question. First of all, that was very inspiring to the rest of the entrepreneurs that are here. Tell us more about Easy 8.
Okay, so Easy 8, I don't want to go too in-depth with it because we haven't launched yet. and we have a couple of competitors. Not that you guys are going to steal my idea, but basically Easy8 is a communications platform. So like, let's say you get sick. There's this huge gap between getting sick and actually getting into the doctor's office, and that can prove and that's a really big space that you can improve patient engagement and help improve quality of care. So basically what we do is we act as almost like a pre-appointment. So it's like when you actually get sick, you can communicate with your doctor and he can start to give you advice, and he can connect with you and like schedule the appointment straight from the app. You can check out your healthcare records, and it really gets into like data solutions as well. But just to begin with, it's like a communications platform.
Yeah, Damien, since you are one of the few people in Springfield that's a native that left Springfield and went to Silicon Valley, you found Tim Draper and he put you into his accelerator. I'd like for you to tell us a little bit about what that experience was like, because one, you're only 19 years old, which is unusual for somebody to just get out of high school and say, hey, see ya, I'm going to Silicon Valley, I'm going to create a startup. So tell us a little bit about Tim Draper, how his accelerator program works, and what was the offer that he made to you when you went into his program.
Yeah, so actually I started with Draper University as this really cool program for entrepreneurs, and I expected him to be there like a couple of times during the program, but he was there every day, and I got to talk to him, hang out with him. We played this thing called Death Ball, which is like they have a pool and they have a basketball goal, and there's literally no rules. He's a big believer in no rules, just hustling. And the first 10 seconds I had the ball, I got clobbered in the face by him. Like, he's a really personable guy, and it gave me the opportunity. It gave me the opportunity to not be scared of my idea and be scared of when telling him about it, and really just hustling while I was there. And he really liked my entrepreneurial spirit, and he decided to invest in me and then put me through his program. And it was the most incredible experience of my life. Like, it's really awesome. That's why I'm excited for Springfield to become like a hub for entrepreneurship, because it's one thing to be an entrepreneur. It's another thing to be surrounded by entrepreneurs. Like, it inspires you. It keeps you going. It helps keep you focused. It's a ton more fun. Like, when I was here and trying to talk about a startup, people would be like, oh, I'm going to the club Friday. And I was like, I'm changing healthcare, and it was really weird. But when I went to the Valley, like, anytime I got bored, like, I could go surfing, I could talk about other startups, or I could go to a Stanford game, which was a ton of fun, sit in the student section. They had no idea I wasn't a student. But it was incredible. And, like, you learn a lot about what it takes to hustle and, like, just contacting people, like, getting out of your comfort zone. So, like, where you find success isn't in your comfort zone. You figure that out really quickly. Like, it's really weird to call people that you've never met before and, like, hey, do you want to talk about healthcare? It's kind of weird at first, but you learn to get used to it. And it taught me a lot about connecting with people, how to build a product, how to get people on board. People love passion, and it's incredible. So, like, when I was first starting out, I didn't really have any technical experience to build the application, but I just went to hackathons and meetups like this. They have a ton of meetups like this in the Valley. And I would just say, hey, I have this idea, and I'm super passionate about it. And I got all these people on board to just build it for free. And I'm like, okay, I had to turn people down not to build my app. So, yeah, it was an incredible experience. Investors loved my idea. I actually secured my seed round. I don't want to talk about, like, I know you want to hear about, like, how much I got, but you're not supposed to talk about it till it's finalized. Like, right now, it's not completely finalized, but I secured it. So we're about to get the green light once we launch. So, yeah, it's a lot of fun. Like, I want it to be like Silicon Valley here. So that's why I'm really excited about this program.
In healthcare today, a lot of doctors have hooked up with hospitals, and the hospitals have electronic medical records, and those are very difficult and very time-consuming to get plugged into. So how does your app do that, and what's been your hurdles in doing it?
Okay, so actually at this point we haven't included EMRs at all. We would really like to. I know this. Have you heard of Practice Fusion? It's this startup. Well, not really a startup anymore. They just raised $75 million. But yeah, they're doing pretty well. Like, the CEO of it, it's free EMR support, so like people can for free integrate CMR, and how they work as advertisements. And I actually know the CEO. I've been connected with him. I talked to him. And I'd really like to integrate his software before I start doing our own EMRs. But really right now we're just a communication platform and scheduling appointments. But EMR is a great place we'd like to get into.
So I checked out your website, easyaid.co, up there on the board, and it says healthcare everywhere, but you've talked only about a communications platform between a person and his or her doctor. If you considered going to like being able to order your prescriptions through the app or anything like that, integrating like Walgreens and CVS into it?
Yeah, so prescriptions, like healthcare everywhere, it means like talking to your doctor everywhere. Prescriptions, like I'd love for doctors to do prescriptions, but that requires FDA approval. And like the whole process, like I talked to people about it, it'd probably be like $1 million. I'm like, maybe I'll just stick to messaging. So for messaging, you have to become HIPAA compliant, which is a lot cheaper. And actually, you don't have to pay to be HIPAA compliant until you're like really big. As long as doctors trust you, you don't have to pay for it. But it's a lot cheaper than $1 million. So I really like to do that, but I really want people to still go in and see their doctors because it's about the quality of care, and I don't want it to be like all virtual through the phone.
Has there been a real compliance element that's been hard to overcome?
It's actually pretty simple. Like, well, it's SSL. As long as I keep everything, like store everything on the back end with SSL, and the communications is through SSL, I'm able to do it. Even though the SSL has had that big bug, I'm kind of scared of it. Maybe I'll try to find something else. But it's pretty simple. I found this source code for a similar competitor, and they have all the encryption, so I've been using that. So, all right. They're not for profit, and they go for smaller, so I don't feel bad.
Yes, I have a question. How do you differentiate yourself from other websites that offer something very similar to what you've got? And also, I've seen something just like this on ABC's Shark Tank, and Cuban shredded it. How do you differentiate yourself from what I saw?
Yeah, so they're actually a premium. They charge users to use that. We don't charge users. We're actually free for doctors. We also work on the advertisement model. Like, healthcare is actually pretty cool. Like, ads, it sounds like really dumb, like you can't make a lot of money, but in healthcare, like if a doctor clicks on an ad from a pharmaceutical company, you make like more than $1,000. So it's actually pretty sustainable. So we make it free for everyone, and we really lowered the entry, like the barrier to entry. Secondly, like there's a couple of competitors. A lot of them are like indirect. So like HealthTap, you can ask any doctor questions. I think the key for us is creating that system with your own doctor, which there are a couple of apps out there like that, but they're really closed systems. For instance, like I had this big competitor, and then they've signed this partnership with the Mayo Clinic, which is good for them, but now they can't go to other people. And then I have that competitor that's for not for profit, but it's more for like rural areas that don't have great access to healthcare. Like they have a few clinics in like Mexico that are using it, like people that can't really access to healthcare. It's more SMS based. They're not looking for like scheduling appointments and stuff like that. So like based on applications and smaller clinics here in the United States, we're pretty much the only ones.
$1,000 per click?
Yeah, it's crazy. Like that's Practice Fusion. That's how they make their money. They just raised $75 million. They're making a ton of money in revenue. And I didn't believe it at first until I saw their numbers.
Hi. You're saying a lot of the right things for tech healthcare app development. I'm with Mercy, and so we build and deploy our own healthcare tech app, and we also are starting to work with companies that are trying to develop their own technology. So you're on track with a lot of things. I was curious. There's a lot of misconceptions about how healthcare tech can be deployed within large and small health systems, and even at the clinic level, from non-users or non-healthcare individuals. And so I wanted to know if you have who are your healthcare, if you can share that, or what type of healthcare partners do you have that are helping you kind of define exactly what those physicians and clinics need, what the patients are wanting to hear, and then making sure that it stays not only HIPAA compliant, but with all of the other data security compliance issues that are at stake.
Yeah, so that's a great point. So I don't really have like a lot of partners. Like I don't want to partner with certain hospitals because partnerships don't scale. That's also really important. I didn't get to talk about it. Like you don't want to partner with like a smaller clinic and then have it being like, oh, I can only do business with them, or like you have to focus on them, because those don't really scale and it can hold you back in the long run if you want to be a bigger company. But I have partners and advisors in the healthcare community. For instance, if you've heard of Doximity, it's LinkedIn for doctors. I actually know the CEO. He really loves the product. Bruce Pearl, if you've heard of Kaiser Permanente, he's a CEO. He's actually one of my advisors. The head of business development at Stanford Medical is also an advisor. Who else? We have a few surgeons that are helping out, like the head surgeon. I don't know if he's head surgeon. I don't know. He's like a big surgeon guy. Everybody's like, oh, he's so cool. I was like, he's pretty kooky, but he's actually an advisor, and I'm always looking for more people, like physicians that can help out. Like right now, we really know what the product's like, but after we have the MVP, we want to start talking with more clinics. And I really like the idea of larger hospitals, but there's a lot of red tape in getting into those hospitals, so I want to prove it at the clinical level. And there's a lot bigger opportunity to make money at the hospital level, but it takes, that was the original approach, but it's like almost impossible to get in. Like, even if it is a great idea and they love it, it's like, oh, we have contracts, like data, like we're scared, you're a startup, you're 19. Like, it was not worth my time. So hopefully that answered your question.
You talked a lot about users earlier, and I was curious to ask you about how you're going to attract users on the client side, as well as are you going to pass it out to doctors and say, hey, go tell all your patients? How do you attract users to your platform?
Yeah, the second one. So we start off with having the doctors market it to users. So we found that it's not very a lot of the users don't respond. They don't have a lot of power to market it to them and get their doctors on board as of yet. So what we do is we get the software to doctors and we get them to sell the software to users and hey, just download the app while you're waiting. And there's a lot of cool things, like you can fill out the forms when you're waiting to sign in. And actually, I'm going to give you guys a little, don't tell anyone, but we're using iBeacon technology. So as soon as you walk into the doctor's office, it pushes that to your phone. You can easily fill out these forms that you have to do, what insurance. You can actually save your other examples. It takes 10, 15 minutes to fill it out, but it saves your name, saves your insurance, stuff like that, and you could just change it manually. It saves you time. And automatically when you're done, it sends it to them. And also, this is really cool, it automatically sends magazines, so you don't have to touch the magazines all these sick people have been touching. So you go to your newsstand and you'll have Forbes just sitting there. I've seen a couple of bars that use it. I was kind of weird that bars are using the same technology to send magazines to people, but we're gonna use. I think that's really cool for healthcare, and that's what we're including in the app. But that's a couple of years down the line.
Is that an internal component? Do you need to partner with certain magazines?
No, I don't have to partner with anybody. I'll let the doctors pick. I really should look into it, how much magazines would charge, because it's a mass service. I'm not really sure about that. I've seen bars do it sustainably, so I think doctors with a lot more money could probably do it. And I really want them to have control over that.
And can you generate advertising revenue through those magazines?
Yeah.
Talking about the information you have to enter on what other
that's about it. So when you first start off, it's kind of like WebMD. You put your name. We're trying to work with there's PayPal has this thing where you can take a picture of a credit card and it loads all of your information and saves it. We want to do that with healthcare cards, but it's a little bit more tricky. So yeah, and there's also this technology that it takes pictures of your eyes. They have it in this clinic in Michigan, this huge hospital in Michigan, where you don't even sign any forms. It just takes pictures of your eyes and it automatically knows who you are and loads your records. We like to do that. I don't think the iPhone camera can do that yet. It's a little bit down the road, but it's pretty simple. You just put in your information that you would use normally.
Well, as always, we wrap up with the final question. What can we as a community do for you? And I'd like you to elaborate also on opportunities within your organization.
Yeah, so right now, how you guys can all help, there's two. Contact every doctor you know. Say, hey, this is the coolest thing. Call this guy. He's really awesome. Follow him on Twitter, doctor. He's awesome. Connect me with any doctor you know. I'll thank you. I'll go out to lunch. I'll buy you coffee. I don't even like coffee. I'll buy you coffee. Second, you all should learn how to program. And then I'm going to pay you not very well to begin with till I raise a ton of money. But everybody learn to program. If you don't know how to program, at least learn HTML, CSS. But it's really the return on investment's incredible. And you can learn for free. So learn to program. I want to have a lot of programmers here. I think that's really key if we want to create an entrepreneurship hub here. Because one of the biggest problems I ran into is there's not a lot of programming talent here to build a huge company. So I think that's really important. So encourage everyone to program. I like to see Missouri State to create incentives, a lot more incentives to program. But that's about it. If you have any questions, email me. I was going to put my phone number up, but this is about the same as texting. I reply almost immediately. So Damien at geteasya.com. I don't really interact on Twitter, but I have a lot of like fake users that follow me, and it looks really bad. Like I have a ton of followers, but they're all fake. So if I could get some real followers, I promise I won't spam you. So yeah, that's about it. Thank you.